Everybody is talking about the AI revolution. I mean, it feels like we're on the edge of something absolutely world-changing. But you have to wonder, with all this hype, is this incredible growth a real, sustainable boom? Or are we just watching a massive financial bubble inflate, ready to pop? To even start to answer that, we got to look at the mind-boggling amount of money being thrown around.
So let's just start with a number, a really, really big number, over $200 billion.
That's how much the industry is spending on capital expenditures. Just this year, we're talking the actual physical stuff, data centers, chips, the whole shebang. It's the plumbing for this new AI gold rush, an absolutely insane level of spending. But when you put that number up against what the industry is actually making, well, that's when things get interesting.
Okay, so you've got that $200 billion spending number in your head. Now, compare it to this one, $12 billion. That's the total revenue from the pure-play AI companies. So let's just put that side by side. Over $200 billion going out the door in spending, and only $12 billion coming in as revenue. That massive gap, that disconnect, is the real mystery at the heart of this whole AI gamble.
It just begs the question, right? Where is all of this cash actually going? And how on earth does this make any financial sense? To figure that out, we've got to look at both sides of the argument, starting with the undeniable, explosive boom.
All right, let's start with the bull case. You know, the argument that this is a real, unstoppable technological shift. And honestly, the evidence here is pretty powerful.
Just look at OpenAI. They're supposedly on track to hit an incredible $13 billion in revenue. Now, to put that in perspective, they were at just $28 million in 2022. I mean, that kind of vertical growth is it's almost unheard of. But where's that money coming from?
So this is what's really fascinating. You'd think it's all big corporate contracts, right? Nope. About 75%, 3/4 of that revenue, is coming from people like you and me, paying for subscriptions like ChatGPT+. The enterprise side is still a pretty small piece of the pie. Right now, this revolution is literally being funded by us, the users.
And the big guys? Oh, they are betting the farm on this. Just look at these spending plans for 2026. We are talking over $500 billion combined, just from these three companies. They don't see AI as just another product. They see it as the entire future. And this boom creates these huge ripple effects. Take NVIDIA, the company making all the essential chips. Analysts are projecting that their growth rate is actually going to get faster. The whole system, from the chip makers to the AI labs, is just firing on all cylinders. So yeah, the boom is very, very real. But it's not the whole picture.
Right, so that's one side of the story. But at the exact same time, and this is where it gets weird, we're seeing some really contradictory signals. It's like there are these huge cracks starting to show up in the foundation.
The paradox here is just stark. On one hand, you have plans for over $500 billion in new investment. And on the other hand, in just the first 6 weeks of this year, the tech industry cut over 30,000 jobs. How do you have record investment and mass layoffs at the same time?
And hey, remember OpenAI's incredible revenue? Well, let's flip that coin over. For 2026, their projected cash burn is $17 billion. So they're growing like crazy and losing money hand over fist.
And that brings us to the absolute core mystery here. How can these two completely opposite realities exist at the same time? Record spending and mass layoffs, insane growth and staggering losses. What is the mechanism that allows for all this? Well, the answer, at least according to an analysis from the investment firm Man Group, is a really peculiar financial setup that's basically powering this whole thing. It's kind of like a bubble machine. It's called closed-loop financing. Now, that sounds fancy, but the idea is actually pretty simple. You've got a very small club of massive companies who are all acting as each other's customers, suppliers, and investors. They're basically just passing money back and forth in a circle, which from the outside looks like massive organic growth. Okay, let's just walk through it so it makes sense. Step 1. A giant like Microsoft invests billions into an AI startup like OpenAI. Step 2. OpenAI takes that money and immediately hands it over to a chipmaker like NVIDIA to buy a mountain of GPUs. Step 3. NVIDIA books record-breaking revenue. Then, Step 4. OpenAI takes the rest of that investment money and pays it right back to Microsoft for all the cloud computing it needs. See what's happening? The money basically never leaves this tiny ecosystem. It just goes around and around, making everyone's numbers look fantastic.
But wait, here's a fascinating twist from some researchers at MIT. What if this whole loop isn't just some clever accounting trick? What if it's actually a rational, though incredibly fragile, way to jumpstart a whole new kind of economy?
The theory is called a speculative growth equilibrium. The main idea here is that the crazy high valuations aren't necessarily a bubble in the classic sense. They might actually be justified because those high valuations are the very thing that fuels the investment needed to get to a new, better economy. But, and this is a big but, the whole thing is walking on a tightrope.
These diagrams from the research show the two possible futures. On the left, that's the high road. As long as everybody believes in the bright future, the high valuations drive investment, and that investment makes the bright future reality. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But on the right, that's the crash. All it takes is a loss of confidence. If people stop believing, the valuations collapse, the investment dries up, and the whole thing unravels. It's a boom built entirely on belief.
So if this is a fragile boom that's built on belief, what happens if it crashes? Well, for that, we can look to history. We've actually seen this movie before. The last time a technology this big created this kind of financial craze.
This quote just nails the lesson from the dot-com bubble. The financial crash wasn't the end of the internet. Not even close. In a way, it was a necessary fire that cleared out all the deadwood and allowed for something way better and stronger to grow.
I mean, think about it. First, you had the insane dot-com boom in '99. Then, the bust, a total bloodbath where trillions of dollars just vanished. But what happened after the crash? That's the important part. What grew from the wreckage was Web 2.0, a whole new era built on open, collaborative tech that gave us the internet we really use today. The technology didn't just survive its financial bubble, it actually got better because of it.
And that leaves us with the final and most important question. The financial structure around AI right now, it might be a bubble, but the technology itself is absolutely real. So if or when that bubble finally pops, it won't be the end. It'll be a new beginning, a chance to rebuild. The only question left is, what are we going to build this time?